What's up, y'all? My name is Cordell, aka Hot Coco, and today I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite type of hip-hop beats with finger drumming. I'm going to show you how I play it, what kind of things I think about while I'm playing it out, what kind of techniques I'm using, and I'm going to show you how you can play it too. So if that sounds cool, stick around. Trap style beats. What's really important to note with these trap style beats is I have a primary snare with a bigger one over here, but I've got these ghost snares. These ghost snares are higher pitch and they're tighter, is how I would describe them, so the notes are shorter. What's really important for these ghost snares is that they're playing on the of 2 and the E of 3. So what I mean by that is we still have our primary snare on the 2 and the 4, but if you listen to the 16th note pattern that's being played with the hi-hat, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So if we add a ghost snare to the of 2, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, and the E of 3, 3 E and a, it's going to give us that trap feel. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. That alone is what I'm focusing on when I'm drumming out trap style beats. Everything around that is just kind of adding in fills and extra flavor, but that's the core, right? You can of course add a kick on the downbeat. The bigger and fatter the 808, the better. I've got this really fuzzy big one up here. So if I add that to the pattern, already very trappy. Everything around that is just decoration. Another element of trap style beats is a lot of fast rolls. So 30-second notes work really well for this. So if one hand is playing 16th notes, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, you can fill in with your left hand. It'll give you a 30-second note roll. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E. This works on the ghost snares as well. I got a few different types of pitches that are changing so that I can add more variation. But once you've got that basic of 2, E of 3 pattern, and you start to add these rolls around, it'll start to feel really trappy. Down here, this bottom row, I've got a bunch of crashes that are layered with just like trappy style chant scream one-shots. That's me. So making sure you're hitting those ghost snares on the of 2 and the E of 3, getting a fat 808, and having these really tight poppy snares as your primary snares. And don't forget those fast, tight hi-hat rolls. It's gonna get real trappy. Bay Area slappers. These type of beats are inspired by artists like E40, The Federation, Keep the Sneak, G-Eazy's been moving stuff around here. It's a huge part of like my identity and upbringing coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, and it has a really specific type of character to it. One of the most important parts about this type of beat are these huge fat kicks. You'll notice not only does it have a big 808 bass underneath it, but it also has a huge long body with the kick. That's going to be really important for this particular style. Bay Area type beats also rarely have a heavy punchy snare. They usually just have a very tight clap. Even for fills, there's even tighter claps that are often played in rolls. really classic Bay Area type stuff. A lot of times there might be hi-hats, but typically there's just a lot of space in a bass slap type beat. Right? There's not a lot of fast hi-hat rolls and stuff going on in there like you might find in a trap beat. You'll also find a lot of tambourine hits and kind of like shaker type stuff as opposed to just hi-hats. You'll notice here I've got these kind of tambourine beats that really add to that kind of feel. Love that. I added just a little bit of a kind of crunchy like sample for fills, just because sampling is still part of like every type of hip hop. If there are harmonic elements in a Bay Area type beat, it's usually coming from just like a really quick arpeggio or like really fast, simple notes. So that's what I've got going on here. So really the main focus is on having these really big kicks, having these very tight claps, and finding the space between the two that are really going to add to this really heavy, aggressive, going dumb kind of feel. Deep house beats. Now, this isn't usually what people think of when they consider hip-hop finger drumming grooves, but this type of style has been blown up lately from artists like Kaytranada and Channel Trace and Goucher Lust Work, and it's just a style that I've absolutely fallen in love with, and it shows up a lot when I'm doing kind of live performance type stuff, so had to include it here. This type of groove is really focused on like that deep housey kind of rhythm, which means you're gonna have a 4 on the floor. So in this case, I have a kick right here, and I'm just going to be riding that bad boy on the downbeat, around 120 down to 110 in that territory, maybe 105 if you're crazy. And with every type of housey beat, you're also going to have an upbeat that's going to be in the hi-hat. So the downbeats are on those numbers, the upbeat is on the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Per usual, my hi-hat is layered with a bass. And this whole line right here is actually all basses that are layered with different kind of cymbals. I've also got these 2 different claps, and each of those claps also have a kick and a bass layered underneath them so that I can do this, go back and forth between the kick and the clap, and I'll still have my 4 on the floor beat. Something else that's going to be really characteristic of any type of deep house vibe are these big lush chords. So when you pair that with sexy. So when you pair that with this kind of 4 on the floor groove, it's instantly going to start to sound really housey. That is also paired with some short staccato chord hits. These feel really good to me on a syncopated upbeat. What's really important for deep house is actually getting your swing, right? So if you're gonna play something straight, just like, it can sound nice, but a lot of times that's moving towards like techno and just doesn't have the same groove to it. So when you start to swing these 16th notes, it's just gonna feel a lot deeper and a lot more soulful. So a lot of these are just happening on the E's and the U's, and they're being swung, right? I have a closed, more tame hi-hat here, and I have a more open hi-hat here. And one of the things that I did is this particular chord is actually reversed so that it has a riser effect to it. And you'll notice I also have 2 different claps. This one's a little bit more subdued hand clap. This one's a lot fatter. So I like to use the riser in order to transition from the more calm groove to the more aggressive open groove. So I hit that, the reverse chord starts to show up. sexy. I can't believe it. This is also just a nice little guitar hit. Love that. Yeah, so in this case, you're really just focusing on a couple things. One is that 4 on the floor kind of downbeat, so keeping that rhythm consistent. Of course, the big luscious chord, and getting that swing, that syncopated rhythm together. And if you have all of those elements together, you're going to be dropping deep house beats. Abstract, soulful beats. So in this drum rack, I've got a whole row of these really big, sexy chords. I think that's one of the most important parts of this kind of beat. And you'll notice they all cut each other, they choke each other, which means that when one starts to play and then another one follows, they don't overlap. That's going to add a lot to the clarity. I got all of these are bass line hits. And what I've done is I have some long notes, and then I've got some fast, short ones. All of them are layered with different types of cymbal hits. What I love to focus on when I'm playing this type of beat is having these very long bass notes, creating this space, and then filling it in with these faster, higher bass notes at the end of a phrase like this. You'll notice I'm finding these pockets to like let it breathe, and then filling it in with these kind of more fill, higher bass note type hits. Lo-fi hip-hop beats. Now we've all chilled to it, we've all studied to it. Lo-fi hip-hop it's here to stay. And it's one of my favorite styles to play as well. Now what you'll notice is I've got these two chords right here. And the sound is kind of degraded. It kind of sounds old, like it went through a tape machine or something. And that's actually part of the lo-fi vibe. That's in fact what lo-fi stands for, is low fidelity. So that means it doesn't sound super crisp and clear. It sounds a little degraded, a little vinyl crackle, a little antique, if you will. The kick has, I've got a hat and a bass layered with it, but the kick itself usually has a rolled off top, which means it doesn't have a lot of high end. It doesn't have a lot of punch. It's usually just a little bump, just a little low end body to give you that pulse, but it's not really punching through like other styles. The snare itself has a lot of crisp kind of crackle to it. It's a very lo-fi move. My basses are of course layered with hi-hats just like everything else. But one of the key elements to a lo-fi beat, as at least this particular type of lo-fi beat, is the piano riff. These are really nice to add that lo-fi feeling to it, and it gives you kind of a groove to play with. And so if you can find these lo-fi piano grooves or play some of these out yourself and record them, especially if they have a degraded kind of quality to them, just like the chords, it'll all start to gel together. When I'm playing this lo-fi beat, really what I'm focusing on is these eighth notes on the hi-hat here. That's forming the basis of the groove for me, and I'm hitting these chords just on the one, so on the downbeat with it. And going back and forth between those two chords. For this particular beat, I found that it sounds really good to have those piano riffs land on the 8 or on the snare at the end of these phrases, and I just kind of go off of the timing of those particular piano riffs. Love it. And the last thing that I'm doing in this particular lo-fi groove is adding almost like this upbeat, this syncopated ghost note on the bass line. So it's adding to the groove of it. Characteristically, lo-fi is a little bit slower than a lot of these other genres we've been playing with, which I have to keep in mind because I'm usually playing really aggressive stuff. So in the lo-fi territory, you want to slow it down a little bit. And a lot of times the groove is focused on eighth notes, like I said before, less than 16th notes or even 32nd notes. Those rarely happen in a lo-fi kind of context. So finding those eighth notes, slowing it down, and then building these kind of grainy textures that have this old vinyl-esque feel to it, and you'll be doing some lo-fi in no time. If you thought that was helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is my last video of the year. I'm really trying to hit 500. That was my goal for this year. 2023 has been my first year really taking this YouTube thing very seriously, and it's been an absolute blast. So if you enjoyed this video, you can definitely jump into my back catalog where I've got a ton of stuff on drumming and the creative process. And if you're interested in some of the samples in these drum racks, check out the links in the description where I've got a few sample packs of my own and some links to some of the packs used in this particular video. I've also got a ton of creativity resources if you're getting stuck in creative blocks, or if you just want to take your practice further. I've got podcasts and articles and e-courses and all kinds of stuff that can be really, really helpful. Almost all of it is free, so go ahead and dive into that. Let me know if there are any more hip-hop type styles that you think I should dive into, or any of the techniques that I played that you want some more clarity on down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you make any of these type of beats yourself, send them my way. Maybe I can feature them on the channel. That would be really cool. I've got a lot more coming in 2024, so I hope I see you there. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Yeah.